Hello, I'm Jacob and this is the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today I'm going to start a quick series, just the basics of how to get started using a ferro rod. Today we're going to talk about the most important aspect of using a ferro rod, and that's simply finding the right tinder. It can be difficult, depending on your location and skill set, to find the right tinder to get a ferro rod fire going. And because I can't tell you, exactly what to find in your location, what we're going to focus on is generalities. Things that you can, for the most part, look for almost wherever you live. So to get started, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy it. It is made possible through Patreon. Patrons make this channel possible and even purchase this camera. It's also made possible through my website, beachandtactical.com. I sell premium survival and tactical gear, some of which include things like this Baldric sling and custom water bottle holder. Also, we are here today with Jimbo. Come here, bud. Good boy. This is Jimbo the adventure dog. So I'll show you what tools I'll be using today, and we're going to take a walk and talk about a few things. So stay tuned. The tools I'll be using today are the Exotech Nano Striker XL. There's a ferro rod and a scraper included in that one little package, and a Essie Gibson pinch. Why did I choose these tools? Well, the Nano Striker is just legit, and I already had the Gibson pinch in my pocket. It's going to work just fine for what we're doing today, so why not? These are just things that I had in my hip pocket. There are lots of things that you can use, and often people try and use dry, dead grass or leaves. If you're going to try and do that, you want to make sure that they're absolutely as dry as possible and you have a good bit of them. I don't prefer to use them myself, as I have found that they can be a bit fickle. So for me, they're kind of a last resort. What I'm going to look for is a nice cedar. And a cedar, or a member of the species, can be found, I think, almost anywhere in the world around the globe. And you can usually find them at an edge of a clearing where they get some sun, or in sparsely wooded areas. But you can tell a cedar tree mostly by its bark. It is a needle-bearing tree or an evergreen, so you can tell when you see an evergreen. But when you get up closer to it, the bark will peel off. And it's often kind of fluffy, feathery. And so what you're going to do, if you need to use a knife, you can scrape, one straight line off of the tree. I won't even need a knife for this guy. What you don't want to peel bark all the way around the tree, 360 degrees. You could potentially kill it if you go deep enough. So instead, just pull off bark from one side. And so what I'm going to do with all of this is I'm just going to stick it into my pocket. If it were a little bit dry, I would want to put it into, or if it were a little bit wet, I'd want to put it into a dry pocket and do everything that I could to get it as dry as possible. Anything that you do with a ferro rod, you want whatever you're trying to light to be absolutely as dry as possible. So, like I said, we're going to throw this into our pocket, and I'm going to talk to you about some other stuff you can find. We've talked about grasses a little bit and leaves a little bit, and we've talked about cedar bark. The next group of tinder that I'm going to look for is going to be a little bit more difficult, and that is mosses, funguses, or downed and dried evergreen branches. Your mosses and funguses you can find in many areas, things like old man's beard and whatnot, hanging off of trees. And the thing with them is you have to find them absolutely dry. And if you do, they are incredible. More common in my area would be to find a downed evergreen tree, pine, fir, hemlock, cedar, etc. This is an old dead cedar, and these needles here, you don't want them to be green. You want them to be brown and dead and crumbly. Can be absolutely excellent, and if they're dry enough, can certainly catch a spark from a ferro rod. So we're going to gather a bit of this. Where you select to light your ferro rod is very important, because if the ground is wet, that moisture can be sucked up into your tinder quite easily, actually a lot easier than you might expect. So you want to find a relatively dry place. This isn't the best. I was going to scrape all of these leaves off, leaving fresh dirt so that you could see with more contrast what I'm doing, but I'm not going to do that because I know it's wet down there. All right, you'll notice that I went and got more cedar, processed it more like I should. The worst thing that you can ever do if you're trying to get a fire going with a ferro rod is try and cut corners or go fast. And so I told my wife I was going out for a short video. I should have known better. And in saying that I was going out for a short video, I actually made my own life a lot harder and made the video filming time a lot longer. Doggone it. Just leave out of here. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. I talked to you guys about a few things, the right way to do things, putting your tinder on a dry surface and using proper tinder, etc. And I learned today, or was reminded the importance of that. When you're out in the woods, you have to respect what you're doing. I told my wife that I was only going to be out for a little bit today because I'm just doing a quick how-to video, and I didn't respect the task at hand, and this is what I get for that. So so what I did was I had fire multiple times with what I grabbed earlier, and it went out. I am going to show you my failure footage really quick, which is not a wise thing to do, but hopefully I can help teach you a lesson through my mistakes, which is simply, if you're going to go out and do this, do it right, respect the task at hand, or you're only going to make your life harder. Now that I'm here, let's go ahead and get this started. Gonna make my little bird's nest. You want your sparks to catch down low so that when they catch, they work up. That's how fire and heat and all of that works. All right, let's do this again. Pour ferro rod. Doggone it, I can't even make my hands work anymore. There we go. That's what doing things the right way gets you. And the last probably 30 to 45 minutes is what doing things the wrong way gets you. All right, guys, my moment of shame. This was a brand new ferro rod I just got from Exotech. Love their products. They are just phenomenal. And I'm going to share my shame with you. I am utterly ashamed of that. Half a ferro rod for me to remember not to be an absolute fool and to do my job right. So please, at the expense of me and all of the trolls that are going to destroy this video, please learn, do this the right way, take the time to get dry tinder and to find a good place to have your fire. And I just hope that somebody really got something out of this video. Thank you for watching. Please remember that my purpose here is not to make myself look good, but to help. In this video today, well deservingly, I made myself look like crap. That's okay. What you're going to be looking for, if you're just looking for natural tinder, obviously it's got to be dry. Grass and leaves is definitely a possibility. I prefer cedar bark, moss, and dead evergreen branches. In my next video, I will talk about feather sticks and fuzz sticks. I prefer to use feather and fuzz sticks because you can control better how dry the product you're working with is and how fine the product you're working with is. And although it's become touche in the bushcraft community, it really is, I believe, a vital part of bushcraft, campcraft, survival craft, whatever the case may be. So, and then I believe the last installment of this series, I will talk about equipment, how to use the ferro rod with different equipment, different positions, etc. So, a little bit of backstory. I've probably started 100, 200, 300 ferro rod fires. I've won a few competitions with ferro rod only fires, and I've competed and lost on a national scale at the boot camp for season 2 of Alone, which is how I know all of those guys. So I've started so many ferro rod fires, often with subpar materials. So today I thought I would go out here, and if the cedar is a little bit wet, who cares? That's the wrong mindset. And this video is gonna be posted and is going to remind me to keep the right mindset. So thank you for watching. I look forward to your comments in the comment section below, except for the trolls. And once again, I hope you learned something. Please stay tuned for future videos on this topic. So I hope that you have a blessed day.